Hello, my name is Iron and this is Iron's Tech. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to have a look at this computer. This is a laptop I've been using for quite a while now. It was released in 2020 and it is the M1 MacBook Air. I want to talk about it again because Apple have just released the M3 MacBook Air and they have stopped selling this M1 MacBook Air directly from their stores and from their website. So the video is basically going to be about, do I still think this MacBook is relevant in 2024 now that there are now the M2 MacBook Airs available and also the M3 MacBook Airs available. I'd just like to add that it's currently hay fever season in Japan and I am feeling very, very bunged up due to the hay fever, so I apologize for my voice and how croaky I am at the moment. Let's start with talking about the design of this. I still think this looks amazing. I still think it's a very nice, very good looking computer. It's incredibly thin for what it is. It's very nicely finished. You've got the aluminium finish. It's tough, strong. It can take a knock. I've got a couple of little dinks on it here, but considering I've had this, I'm going to go nearer to 3 years than 4 years for me, but you know, it's taken quite a few little knocks and dinks and it still looks really good. It's held up very, very well. It does have these little circles on. That's from the case that I use. They do come off with a bit of rubbing, but they come back with more case use, so I don't worry about cleaning it off too much. I mean, even the bottom of it is just still very nice, very good condition. It doesn't have any dinks or scratches on it anywhere that I can make out. It's done very, very well. It's held up incredibly well over the time, actually. So design-wise, this is very good. It's completely aluminium everywhere. You've got your keyboard, which is lovely. The trackpad, which is again very nice. We'll talk about that more in a bit. You've got your speaker grills, full row function keys, very nicely laid out, very simple. It's just very, very easy to use, and I think it's completely relevant now. I mean, it doesn't seem outdated. The trackpad is almost identical to the trackpad you'd get on a newer MacBook. It's very good indeed. And again, with the screen, it doesn't look outdated. It's still a very nice display. It's obviously not quite as good as the new displays. It goes quite bright. I think it's 400 nits. The new MacBooks are 500 nits. And it doesn't quite have the same level of colors or accuracy. I mean, it's an incredibly accurate screen. It looks really good, but it's just not quite up to scratch with the new MacBooks. But it's a very, very good screen, and for everything I do, it's not really let me down at all. It's been very good. I can watch films on it. I can play games on it. You know, it's just edit some photos if I need to. It's definitely a good enough display. Some people say the bezels are a bit too big. I've never really found that, and honestly, after a bit of time using it, the bezels just sort of disappear and you don't notice anyway. Okay, ports. The one thing I will say about this MacBook, and something they have made a bit of an improvement on with the new ones, is the ports. This has a headphone jack, which is good. I like headphone jacks. This has 2 USB-C, and these are Thunderbolt. And that's it. There's nothing else. There's no other way of plugging anything into here. So you want to charge up, you have to use up one of your Thunderbolt ports, which leaves only one other port available to plug in your monitor or whatever else you want to plug in. On the newer MacBooks, they have now added the MagSafe connector as well. So you get MagSafe and you also get your 2 USB-Cs as well. So there is the extra port made available on the newer MacBooks, which does make a nice difference there. So that is something to think about. So again, just a little bit of talk about the keyboard and the trackpad again. And this trackpad is incredible. It's definitely the best trackpad I've ever used on a MacBook or any computer for that matter. It's force touch, so it doesn't actually move when you push it down. It feels like it does, and it feels like it clicks, but it doesn't. It's just the little servos, motors inside it reproducing that feeling. It's incredibly accurate, very good for gestures. You can make this, you can rotate things and slide left, slide right, up, down, and everything just feels really, really good. The same goes with the keyboard. This keyboard has been very, very good for me. It's one of my favorite keyboards. I'd say it's about on par with those older style keyboards you get on the old MacBook Airs and the kind of the older style Bluetooth keyboards before the Magic keyboards came around. It's just really nice. It's not too clicky clacky. It feels nice. It's just very, very pleasant to use. A very nice experience. So yeah, the keyboard, trackpad, both very good. I don't think there's a problem with those. Still very much up to date. I would happily carry on using those for however long I need to. I don't think they've changed them too much on the new MacBooks either. So they are very, very good. The speakers are also great. I actually think I prefer these speakers to the speakers on the newer MacBook Airs, because the newer MacBook Airs have the sound firing out of the gap here. Whereas this one has them on the front, the same as with the Pros. While this does not sound anywhere near as good as a 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro, it still sounds very good for a laptop, and considering how thin this thing is, it's very good. I'm no complaints about the speakers at all. They're very, very strong. But on to performance. I have no complaints about the performance of this computer. Yeah, it has an M1 chip, which is supposedly not new or up to date anymore, but it does everything I need it to do, and it does it so quickly. It's remarkable. Every time I use this thing, it flies through the operating system. I have no trouble opening things. If I just go to Safari and click on that, it just opens really quickly. Chrome takes a little bit longer, but still, it's just there. Everything just moves and works, and I've never really had a major issue opening things on this. In terms of like what you can do, I mean, I've got some games on here. Alien Isolation runs very nicely on this computer. I was playing World of Tanks Blitz on here, and it was playing it on my external monitor, which is 1080p to be fair. But I mean, the temperatures were not even touching 40. The temperature, which you can see here, is just idling on around 21. It never hit 40. It stayed under 40 the whole time playing World of Tanks Blitz for an hour or so. It's really remarkable. I mean, it does get hotter when you're playing like Alien Isolation or something more graphically demanding, but I've never really experienced a noticeable amount of throttling on this one. And I've heard some reports that the M2 and potentially, I suppose, the M3 MacBook Airs will throttle quite substantially. And apparently they don't have a little heat sink inside. This one has a heat collector or heat spreader inside. So it does handle the high temperatures a little bit better. But everything I've used this for, No Man's Sky is another example. It just works. And it can be a little bit choppy on No Man's Sky because of the graphics, but it plays the game well. And I'm always blown away by how well it handles things. I've recently done some work in the Google Suite, and I think it was about 20 different tabs open, all with different documents in them, moving all between everything, copying and pasting everywhere, and it held up fine. It only has 8 gigabytes of RAM, this model, but the swap is quick enough that I don't really notice it becoming a problem. I think, again, with the M2, especially the 256 gig model, I've heard that it can have some problems with the swap memory, being a little bit slower, but this just flies through it. And it's hard to find something to criticize in terms of performance, because considering how old it is and how much better it was than the generation before, yes, it's a remarkable thing. It's very, very good. The battery in this has degraded. It has dropped. I think it's about 87% of the original now. So it's noticeably less than when I first got it. When I first got this, I was absolutely blown away by the battery life. I couldn't quite believe how long it lasted for. Now it's still very reasonable, but it's a definite drop. I'm still getting, if I just do document work and a little bit of YouTube, that kind of thing, 8 hours easily. 9 If I turn the brightness down a little bit, playing something like World of Tanks Blitz, I'll get 4 or 5 hours out of that. Video editing, again, 4 or 5 hours. So it's still good. Like, even though it has dropped down to that 85-ish%, the battery life is still good. I do not think I need to replace this battery anytime soon. I've been using this computer every day now. The 12-inch MacBook I was using, the battery finally packed in on that one, so I'll have to get a replacement if I want to keep using that. So this has stepped up and is now the computer I take to work every day and use for literally everything now I'm doing on this M1 MacBook Air. And I've been reminded again that the battery does last a long time. I don't have to worry about taking a charger with me. It lasts. I mean, even now it's still at 100% up here. Yeah, it's night and day to the Intel MacBooks that came before. I mean, just to sum up and sort of general thoughts at the end, I think in terms of whether this MacBook Air is still relevant in 2024, I think absolutely yes. Even though Apple have stopped selling it, I would imagine they still have a fair stock of them, and they would probably send them out to third-party distributors. I know there's some electronic shops around Japan that still have plenty of these in stock. And then you've got the second-hand market where anyone upgrading from an M1 to an M3 will obviously want to, I would imagine, sell their M1. So there's going to be quite a few of these for sale. And if you can pick them up for less than $1,000, I'd say do it. Like, they're remarkable. Very, very good piece of technology. It's been very, very good for me. I do all my editing for this channel on this computer, and it's been a wonderful experience, and I do not intend to upgrade it anytime soon. So I think I'm going to end it there. So my name is Iron, this is Iron's Tech, and thank you very much for listening.